I shall be moving on soon, so I want to ask you a favour.
Name it.
Don't make the same mistake that me and my brothers have done.
If you lads pull this off, you're going to go down in history.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
Where's that? Sunderland.
Each other since we were 9 or 10.
You're talking about the post office, aren't you? How much we're looking at? Maybe more?
Learned of love and hate.
Any news on Stephen Sayers?
Word on the street is he's headed to the Costas.
We're a long way from York Street now, mate. This deal, it's the start of the big thing. We're a new breed of criminal.
You tried to teach me right from wrong.
There's only one way that this is going to go, Stephen. In any happy ending for the life you three have chosen. Please think about him.
By my friend, it's hard to die.
Or me.
They're a family of West Enders who think they run Newcastle. They're a couple of jumped up, jacked the lads out of their depth.
Stephen, has been a while.
They think they're big fish in a little pond. Where's my pond?
Mr. Stephen Sayers, I'm arresting you on suspicion of armed robbery. You do not have to say anything, but anything you do say may be used in evidence against you.
You can't beat the system. If you try, well, I'll just lock you up.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But the hills that we climbed were just seasons at a time. We had joy, we had fun,
And if you try,
seasons in the sun. But the hills that we climbed.
they'll throw away the key.
Please pray for me.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening. Welcome to NUFC Matters. It's been a quick change for Liam. Me and Liam have both been out today having meetings, not on the drink, I hasten to add. But me and Liam actually met up early this morning. It was our first meeting, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. The first meeting of many today. It's been a busy day.
Same as me. We both went our separate ways after we had our coffee. But good to see you, mate. Sorry to everybody who's been waiting in the chat patiently since 5 o'clock. Both of us have literally got back in. Liam's been obviously causing furore on Twitter. You haven't been in front of the FA, have you?
Not yet.
So, come on, then. Without beating around the bush, let's just talk about that. That's had massive traction. This is where social media is great at times. It can be a nightmare at times as well. I thought it was a really valid point you made. This situation, we've had it all season. It can be deemed as paranoia. Go back to the Liverpool game at Anfield, mate, where VAR robbed us of points, and we've been robbed subsequently of more points throughout the season. But this referee situation, explain to people who were in the chat who maybe haven't seen what's happened, what exactly has gone on.
So we managed to find out yesterday when the appointments were put out about the refereeing situation for Thursday night. Just so happens that the referee who has been put on duty at St James's Park, Rob Jones, is from Merseyside, which I didn't like the sound of, and I don't think anybody did. So we've put questions into PGMOL, Premier League, asking for clarity on that as to why somebody potentially with skin in the game can be refereeing a football match when it's meant to be impartial, neutral, and the like. I'm not happy about it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. And I think, judging by the comments on social media, I know Newcastle fans agree with me. I don't think big games like this should be officiated by people who could potentially have bias, whether that be conscious or unconscious bias. We don't. Well, I'll go through the facts. Jones is part of the Wirral FA. A lot of Liverpool fans was on social media. They want to make their mind up, to be fair. Some of them are coming on saying, it's not Liverpool, it's the Wirral, it's not Liverpool. They probably don't like you anyway. Right, well, even if they don't like it, it's still not fair, because somebody shouldn't be making decisions in any way, shape or form about that. And then I've got other ones coming on saying, oh, even the Scouse referees are getting everybody wound up. Make your mind up, lads. He's either Scouse or he isn't. One thing I've made my mind up on is I know 100% he should not be refereeing. Let's say he is a Blue. Let's say he does support Everton. He shouldn't be involved. Let's say he even supports somebody like Tranmere, which of course is the side from across that side of the water of the Mersey. Doesn't matter. It's got Merseyside connections. There is a potential there for bias. It's the only game on a Thursday night. Come on, people who make this decision. You could have chosen any referee you wanted. What are you choosing one from Merseyside for? Look, this argument could go on and on forever. I just don't like the appointment. I think it's a fair call to make, to say, why are you doing that? Why are you putting that kind of pressure? And I think as a fan base, we all need to be keeping an eye on this. I think it's hard for referees to show bias, but they're only human. We have VAR as a bit of a check and balance in these things. Often it makes bigger mistakes than the referee themselves. But I do think that we all need to be very aware, and that's what I wanted to get out there. All very, very aware that there is a Merseyside referee taking part in a game that very much has connotations for the red half of Merseyside, given that not only Newcastle can get the Champions League, but Brighton as well. So there is. This isn't just talking about a bias saying he'll be against Newcastle United, but he might not be. But he shouldn't. There shouldn't even be a question mark. There should be no could or should in this. If you pick somebody from another part of the country, there shouldn't be any question marks about this. It's a really, really poor appointment in what arguably is the biggest match of Newcastle United season. One of the big things that all these Liverpool fans out there keep coming on and saying as well, you don't mind me language here, Steve, a little bit, do you? But they're like, your arse is gone, you're worried, you're this, that, and the other. I'll tell you all now, 100%, this season cannot be a failure for Newcastle United. There is no fear of failure for Newcastle United. The lowest Newcastle United can finish is 6th. That is not in any way, shape or form a failure for Newcastle United. They've put themselves in a position where the prize is there for them. They can achieve something nobody thought was even possible. The idea of Champions League football, for us, having lived through this period for so long, nearly 2 decades of rubbish, it felt unattainable. The idea of a Champions League campaign under Mike Ashley for, 14 of those 15 years was not even on the equation. It wasn't even a thought. So for us to be on the edge of that now is incredible. And look, we'll all be disappointed if we don't quite get over that line. But to say there's a fear, there's no fear from me. Newcastle United falls short. Will have fallen short for the reasons that we've been talking about all season. look, they look tired. There's a squad there that isn't really very strong and has managed to put themselves in this amazing position. This is a shot to nothing. The lowest we can finish is 6th. If we lost every game, we probably still wouldn't finish 6th. We'll probably finish 5th. What an amazing season that is. This is a shot to nothing at getting in the Champions League. And for so long, I never thought that was possible. So the idea that there's a fear factor is ludicrous. What I see in my mention is a lot of rattled Scousers. That's all I've seen all day and all night. Rattled. And Newcastle United are there. We're back. We're in the mix. And we ain't going anywhere. So they need to get used to it. And it's absolutely fair for me to point out a fact. This is a fact that a Merseyside referee registered the Wirral FA. And I've had all these people on saying, what you're talking about, the Wirral, it may as well be bloody Middlesbrough, it may as well be Hartlepool. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the last time I ever seen Hartlepool across the River Tyne. I don't remember ever seeing that, to be fair. So it's a load of rubbish. It's much closer than a lot of them are trying to make out. And it shouldn't be happening. Not when you essentially could. This is a great point here. I'm just going to point that out. And what I've said to a lot of Liverpool fans criticising is this. If Michael Oliver is doing your game at the weekend, I'll be saying the same thing. It's not right. It shouldn't happen. This isn't me taking a stance and saying, I want Newcastle United to have a favourable referee. This is the interest of fairness for everybody. This guy could be totally, he could give decisions when he might think about Brighton. There might be a slight unconscious bias about wanting to draw, could give decisions against Newcastle, against Brighton. If he's an Everton fan, even imagine he's an Everton fan, there's a potential of a bias there that he could want Newcastle United to win without even knowing himself. It's called unconscious bias. It can happen. It shouldn't even be something anybody is talking about. And you know what? I'm proud as punch that Jordan Cronin, who works for me, Newcastle Will, found this story and he asked Eddie Howe about it in the press conference this morning. Because this is the type of thing that has to be on the agenda. This is called being in the pressure cooker.
Did he get shut down? Did he get
yes.
He did get shut down.
Shut down straight away. They knew the question was coming. We hadn't tipped them off, but I think
Do you have to submit the question? No.
No.
It was out the blue.
It was out the blue, but I think they knew it was coming because it's been, it's blown up on social media. It's gone crazy today and last night. And I'm proud that we've done that. I'm proud that we've brought something like this to the wider consciousness because a lot of people wouldn't have realised that. And I hope all it's making, Newcastle United for me should have enough anyway. I think they've got a good chance of going out there and beating Brighton anyway. It's going to be a great game. There's no doubt about it. It'll be really nip and tuck. There'll be a lot of angst because Brighton are a really good side as we've seen at the weekend. You never know what Brighton you're going to get, but there's a lot of there will be a lot of angst there because Brighton, since promotion with Brighton, what was it, 2017, they've had our number. We've found it really tough to beat Brighton home or away, and they've got a really good away record. So they've always come up here and give a proper game. So it's going to be tough anyway, even without this.
Just to confirm as well, somebody in the chat there said that Michael Oliver was VAR for Liverpool Villa this week in the fixture this week, and he's not. The referees John Brooks, assistants are Matthew Wilkes, James Manwaring, fourth official is Michael Oliver. So he's not VAR. VAR is Tony Harrington for that game.
And the fourth official doesn't make any decisions, does he?
No. So that's academic.
Yes. So it is slightly different. But if Michael Oliver was refereeing that day, I think that's a problem too. It shouldn't be happening. Mm-hmm. There's arguments about the pool of referees, where they come from, etc. And a lot of Liverpool fans talking about Manchester referees and things like that. This is talking about a pressure game at a pressure time of the season. And fingers crossed the referee doesn't have any sway on the game. But the last time Newcastle played Liverpool, when Newcastle played Liverpool last season, there was another quite famous Wirral FA, Mike Dean, referee that game. And it's probably the only head injury decision I've ever seen that hasn't been given and was allowed to play on. I don't want to have these question marks. I don't want to be looking at a referees where he's from and thinking, has he made a decision on that basis? So for me, it's a point of principle. I think it's wrong. Come at us in the comments. I've had plenty of it from Liverpool fans, a lot of angry Scousers over the last 24 hours. But you know me and Stephen, we've been down this road before. On a point of principle, I'll quite happily stand up and fight the corner. And if it makes Newcastle United fans that little bit more aware going to the game tomorrow, then I feel like as a news organisation, we've done our job.
Yeah, well done, mate. Great call. Well done to Jordan as well. Big shout out to Simone in the chat, who I haven't seen for a while. Simone is renowned for coming on and putting this up. Hi, Steve. Smile if you're live. So yes, we are live, Simone. It's good news. You've caught a live show. Okay, plenty to talk about. Ivan Toney was breaking news as you and I were hot-footing it in to record the show. Ivan Toney's been banned for 8 months, £500,000 fine. Can't train. £50,000 fine, sorry. And he can't train with the club until the ban is over. So he has to do his own training, basically, which means that he's not going to be anywhere near match fit. Geordie Toomberlite put that in. Ivan Toney banned for 8 months. A fine of 50,000. Getting off lightly or not? What's your thoughts?
Oh, it's a big ban.
It's not a good time to sign him.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who'll be signing him. I think if you're Brentford, you're very unhappy. You're very unhappy with this. I wonder if there's some kind of insurance against these kind of things, because there definitely is with injuries. But
I wouldn't bet on it.
No, long term. But but you would hope to have, because essentially, if you're Brentford, you're ripping, as Thomas Frank would say, £100 million striker straight, who's got 20-odd goals. Goal dust in the Premier League, 20-odd goal strikers, straight on the team, without even the recompense of getting that 100 million as he wanted, and he's in the club's coffers to replace him. So essentially, they've lost a footballer who is key to the way they play, key to their success this season, and they won't even be able to replace him. They're going to have to spend extra money on top of just losing a player. And God knows what he'll come back like if he's got 8 months.
He can train 17th of September, BT says. Thanks for that, because that literally landed. To tell you the truth, I was doing something. I was filling in the Newcastle United ticket survey so we could talk about that whilst this news broke. So I never had time to check on it. So thanks for that, BT. So I guess he can train for 4 months, which isn't as bad. Craig Lee says, can he train with us? Wink, wink. But yeah, I mean, look, he's punished. He's got to serve his time, and that's it, I guess. And I guess he's got to be made an example of, Liam.
No, he has, because he kind of go about these things not in the manner that he has. It's the depth of the charges, wasn't it, that he admitted to? It was so many, and it was going to be a longer ban. He needs help, the lad, if he's got a problem. He needs help, and hopefully. Look, it's the real. And let's get in slightly deeper more than Toney, because I really admire Toney as a footballer. Anybody who knows me knows I'll shout from the rooftops about him, and I have for years, to be honest. I love his physicality and his technique. I think he's excellent. Leads a line brilliantly. Captain material in a lot of ways for the team that he plays for. He's excellent. But I hope the lad gets some help with regards to this, because there's a much wider problem to play here in football. And it is being tackled to some extent with the shirt sponsorship things. But we see it. You only have to watch a game on Sky Sports or BT. You're littered absolutely in the ad breaks with they tell you to bet responsibly, but it's options. People can bet. They've taken it's the online gambling thing. It's so easy to spend your money. So easy to spend your money on these things. You don't even have to walk up to the bookies anymore to put a bet on. You can sit there, just bet. It's it's sad, because people who struggle with that kind of thing have addictive personalities, which is another thing altogether, can really struggle. And it's a very real struggle for people. I know people who've had problems with gambling in the past run themselves up into lots and lots of debts. And it's a sad, lonely existence for a lot of them. And it's a very real addiction. And I feel for anybody who has that kind of that kind of thing, because it's thrust in your face. It's thrust in your face constantly. There is no. I'd be surprised if there's any other addiction like that where it's thrust in your face openly as much as that is.
Yeah. People saying, isn't it more of an obsession? Some people saying it's an illness. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, whatever it is, whether it's an obsession, whether it's an illness, you know, the guy needs help, and that's where the football club should really come in and help. You know, Benny says, interesting how efficient the Premier League are to sanction Toney, a player. What about Man City and Everton's financial fair play breaches? Which is a very good point, mate. It's a conversation which has been mentioned a few times off air from a lot of us. What is going on with those situations? They will get kicked down the road, I'm sure. I think they'll wait and see what position Everton are in, first of all. Everton get relegated, then it's going to be an interesting solution to that. And of course, Man City, you've got lawyers who they'll be paying a handsome fee, who will be literally kicking that tin can down the road for as long as they can. So I guess we'll just watch this space on all of that. Lots of comments coming in. Now, I did have a couple of questions on Twitter as well. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll come to them in the second half, and I'll come to your questions in the chat in the second half. If you're a season ticket holder, you will have probably got an email today, and it is called, let's find it, Newcastle Ticketing, Share Your Feedback. So Newcastle United are inviting season ticket holders to provide their views on ticketing at St James's Park, and it's a survey. It takes 1.5 minutes to fill it in. The simple part of it, for those of you who aren't season ticket holders and who won't see this, is they're asking season ticket holders how people would feel about a penalty for, well, an option to change people's details, because people's details on season tickets are wrong. Some people haven't got the right address, the right email, the right phone number. So this has probably been highlighted when the Wembley tickets have gone on sale, I would imagine, more than anything else. So when people have been trying to communicate with the club, maybe his details have been wrong. So they've given an option to change that at the start of the season, asking people, is that something people would value? They've asked, how would fans feel if there was a resale option of tickets on a match-per-match basis? Also, how would fans feel about having an option to commit to certain cup games in advance? And then it gives you the option of League Cup, FA Cup, European games, and all. It also gives you the option of committing to all of those games. That's it in a nutshell. That's all we're asked about. But I think that's good, Liam. I think it's good that the club, again, are using what details they've got with season ticket holders, asking them for feedback on something which affects all supporters. I'm not against people. I'm not against them working with the supporters trust. Not against them working with the supporters club, because these people, you know, these are people in their own spare time have set up organisations and are doing what they can to, you know, speak to the club on behalf of their members, not all supporters. But the most important way and the easiest way of the club communicating with supporters who go to the match on a match-to-match basis and commit to the season tickets or commit to the corporate boxes is by sending them an email. And I think that's great. I'm over the moon with it. I'm delighted that they're doing this, and I fill in every survey.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I think for me, there can never be enough interaction between the season ticket holders and the football club. I think that's your supporter base, and I think they need to really use the supporter base to get as much feedback as possible. Big thing about Darren Eales when he came in was really pushing the idea of linking the football club back with its supporters, and I think the things like this are massive for that. It gives you a chance to have your say. Yes, you won't always be listened to because you can't always be listened to, but it's better that you get the chance to say your piece and answer your questions than not at all. And for me, you can't get enough, like I say, fan interaction. You're not always going to get what you want. It isn't always going to be possible to deliver on the type of things that you want, but it's really nice to have a football club that listens and wants to serve the people who put money in the coffers and pay to go there every other week and go on away games and go to cup games, and it's really good value in that kind of stuff. So I think it's a big positive, and I would urge anybody out there who's given that to make sure that you do take that opportunity to fill out that and let people know your thoughts. You're on mute again.
I've just noticed that, mate. It's just because I'm doing this. There's quite a bit of noise around us. Barry, I'm not sure if you're a season ticket holder, mate, but they did approach the season ticket holders and anyone at the club about this. There was a survey put out exactly the same way about the standing area, and that was they've gone with a majority. You know, I mean, I don't want to stand at the match, and where I am at the gate, where I am in the ground, it wouldn't be an option anyway. But I've got to be honest, I did take the strawberry corner. I said, you know, it gave you the option of picking where you thought would be best for it. And knowing that the strawberry corner is the area where people want to do it, I thought, well, if you thought we should do this, where would you do it? And we said, but there was an option, Barry. So I don't think it was like Mike Ashley at all. I disagree with you on that, mate. I think the e-ticket situation is a completely different thing. And I don't think that's something that really is something that is open to conjecture with the fans. I think standing is one thing, because that's a choice that the supporters would have to make, you know, whether you stand or whether you don't, and whether you want an area to be like a singing area. But I think e-tickets is, unfortunately, that's the way things are now. Like, I'm booked in to go and see so many gigs in the next couple of months, and it's e-tickets. I don't have a choice. If I buy a ticket for an event now, I don't get it through the post, and Newcastle will eventually just fall in line with technology. And I mean, it's not e-tickets for everything at the moment. I mean, if you're a season ticket holder, you will still get your season ticket, you know, for the foreseeable future anyway. But it's the tickets. If you buy a ticket on a match-to-match basis, of which there's got to be a certain amount, those will now become e-tickets. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, mate, we're never going to change. We're never going to change. We're never going to change things moving forward. And I think that's just unfortunate. So I don't think the club did a bad thing by not consulting. Maybe they could have put an email about it, but it's a decision they're going to make. I don't know what you think, Liam. I think the standing they did ask us, and now they're asking us about other ticket and things. But I think e-tickets, well, it's just everybody's doing it.
Look, it's not something I really have to worry too much about, but I think it's part and parcel of it. I don't think. I think it's just the way of the world. It's the way things are going. And, you know, with the idea that Newcastle United will be pushing to change a lot of processes and the way that they do things to make the club a greener space in place, I think this kind of ticks one of those boxes, and it's one of the easiest wins that they'll ever have in that respect. E-ticketing is easy, convenient. I mean, you just have to go, look, I know not everybody's the same, but I just don't really carry cash anymore. And it's amazing. It's maybe taking 10 years for everybody to get to that point. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't really carry cash anymore, don't have cash on them. And a lot of the time now, you don't even need to use your card because you just tap your phone. It's essentially the same thing with, you know, you get on a plane nowadays, you don't need your boarding passes because your boarding passes are already in your wallet on your phone. All you have to do, or the app, whichever way you may do it. It all just makes things a lot simpler and easier, provided you've got charge on your phone. That'll be the only thing I would say.
Well, I mean, this is the other thing, Liam. You can print off, like, you know, you print things off. So, like, for example, when somebody comes to an event and they buy a ticket on voucher, then they print it off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And if you haven't got a printer, you find somebody who has, you know, because you've got to. Otherwise, you're not going to get in. Yeah. That's the thing. You know what I mean? You've got to do it. Otherwise, if you're tech savvy, then you'd do it on your phone. But it was like COVID. I mean, you know, COVID. When you went to the airport, if you were somebody who was a bit of a technophobe or somebody who couldn't quite grasp the technology, then you went and printed your COVID pass off. Whereas with, you know, people like ourselves who are a bit tech savvy, then you just stick it on your phone. So, you know, I think people just sometimes are making a bit of a thing when it's not a thing. It's one of those situations. But I think with e-tickets, it's the way forward, and that's just the way it is. It's people getting all sentimental about not getting a ticket for a game and stuff like that. Well, now what do you do with them? Do you know what I mean? Keep them and look back on them. Yeah, you know, it's nice to say I was there. I mean, I think I've got a handful of tickets from gigs. I just binned all mine eventually because you look back on it in sentiment. I've got the elusive ticket from Leicester 92 when we stayed up. You know what I mean? Which was a big thing. It was a huge game. Lots of people say they were there. you know, if everybody been there who says they were there would have been 20,000 away fans there. I know how many, you know, there wasn't, but I was there. I found my ticket. I've got my ticket for so many different games, but eventually you just think, what is the point of keeping these? There isn't, isn't it? But I think that just comes with age, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? It does. It just comes with age. Anyway, halfway through the show, as always, we're rattling through the different points, and I do have to, as always, play the ads. A big shout out to all our sponsors. Thanks to Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can order them from their website, mrvickies.co.uk, or by calling 01768 210 102. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video technology. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. If you enjoy the show, please hit the little thumb under the video and like the video. Click share to share to your other social media, or subscribe. It's free and we do 7 shows a week. If you want to become a member, you can click join underneath this video. There are different packages to suit all different pockets. And if you want to become a cult member, then put your smartphone over the QR code. It'll take you straight there to the website, which is nufcmatters.com. If you go in via the website, just click membership pack. What do you get for your money? You get a pen, you get a cup, you get a membership card and a scarf, and entry into the monthly draw. Don't forget, we are available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. And we also support the food bank on this show. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is where you'll find the matchday bucket. You can make a virtual donation today. We've also got some events coming up over the next couple of months. An evening with Peter Beardsley at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from newcastlelegends.com. Or go to Voucher and get a 40% discount. Our end of season due is the 27th of May at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are a tenner from nufcmatters.com. An evening with Gavin Peacock takes place on July the 10th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets from nufcmatters.com for that event. And the following night, Gavin will be at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. Go to their website for ticket information. We've got a vast range of t-shirts, merchandise and memorabilia available at our website. The Isaac t-shirt is doing well. Go to nufcmatters.com to buy one today. Okay, quick question. 2 questions off Twitter. With Rich Joblin, we covered yours about the Eddie question about the Wirral ref. Ian Hull, another transfer one. He says, I'll catch up during the night as I'm at work. Is there any truth in João Felix link as reported by Marca? And how reliable is the source?
The source is reliable, given the publication that it is, but it's not one that I'd heard, to be honest. It's a funny one with Chelsea because they've got that many players and they've got a new manager coming in. There is a potential for them to buy, but who knows whether Pochettino wants to go in that direction. So he could well become available in the summer, but I think Chelsea have essentially got first option on the player, and I would probably expect him to stay there. But like I say, a lot depends on the finances and the will of the new manager and the direction that he wants to go. So there's still a lot of ifs and buts. But it's a lot of money for a player who came in with a big bang, but has essentially produced very little for Chelsea, being brutally honest.
Yeah.
He's a very, very talented footballer. There's no doubt about that. But is he the answer to what Newcastle need moving forward? I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Okay. We've got lots of questions coming in about transfers. Don't forget, like through the summer, that is going to be where we probably get more detail, more idea, and more suggestions. I'm not saying don't send them in now, but we'll be going through quite a few of these shows during the summer, trying to keep you up to date. We'll also have Ben Jacobs giving a national view of transfers and links. But we will go with this one from Tom. Anything on Kieran Tierney and to Newcastle?
I like that one. That'll stick that if he does sign. Kieran Tierney, like I said, if you go back over the shows that we've done previously the last few weeks when I've been coming back on, Steve, it's one that I've said that's the one I'd kind of had some reasonable information on. And there is a lot of talk that Toney might well get done this summer. Doesn't mean it's a definite. Like I said, there's been talks like that, which I've had, or information I've had in the past. But I think Toney's one that's got decent legs. The Hungarian lad, I'm not going to even go there because I need to check how you pronounce it or say it. But the Hungarian lad is the only way any United will sign him is if they get in the Champions League.
Yeah,
he won't even be on the agenda if we don't get in the Champions League.
Craig Lee says, "Are we signing a Teletubby yet?" Yeah. What was the name, Steve? That's who it was. The other question was from Nathan Page. I'm not going to ask. We'll talk about the game a little bit later on, Nathan. But he said, "Liam, what's been your favourite game this season?"
That's a nice question. God, what's been my favourite game? There's been a few. I think one of the cup games I'll probably think of other ones when I'm sitting thinking about this, but I remember feeling like a real sense of joy when we managed to get that 2-0 win down at Southampton in the cup quarter-final that it was. I remember it was cup semi-final, sorry, because it was almost like it was the moment when we went ahead in that tie at halfway, effectively, you had to bring them back up here. That it almost, I was got a little bit of a warmth inside, thinking, actually, we could get to Wembley here. We could get to Wembley. It's actually going to happen. We're not going to balls this up. So yeah, that's one that instantly springs to mind. Tottenham at home, like that 20-minute period was just bananas. Like I've not known anything like it. There was literally people, I sit right on the edge of the press box. There was literally lads across just jumping on us, like cuddling us, couldn't believe what was happening, like jumping in the press box. It was totally crazy. And I've not experienced a period like that for that 20 minutes. I see them mention the Man City game. Yeah, when Newcastle went 3-1 up, that was just intense. That was really, really, it was a great game of football. Ebbed and flowed, for 20 minutes, looked like the blow off the park. And then we came back and blew them off the park. And then they did what Man City can only do, where they, really turned on the afterburners and came back at it and looked like there was only going to be one winner. And it was just one of those where it was, I'll take a punch, you take two. It was one of those where it was a proper trade-off. And it was a fantastic one to watch. And I'm sure there's probably been others where there's been an unbridled joy. But the one that really sticks in my mind, simply because it brought the emotions of thinking, could actually be going to Wembley here, was that game where we won down at Southampton. I was very thought that was quite a special game.
Yeah, Benny says, I love the tighter games when we were starting to establish ourselves this season. 2-1 win at Spurs, 1-0 win at home against Chelsea. But I'm weird. You're not weird at all. Manchester United at home was probably one of my standouts. I did enjoy the Chelsea game. I've got to be perfectly honest. But yeah, just the euphoria surrounding the semi-final win. I think, and the fact that it was done at home as well, I think that was absolutely fantastic. But I do get the whole Man City thing. I've got to be perfectly honest. Away game at Liverpool was great, apart from being robbed. That was a particularly good game to be at, I think, this season as well for people. T-Tank,
where was the referee from?
Yes, it's all about him, Mike Dean. Liam, when is the book coming out? We've discussed this on previous shows, T-Tank. It's not for the considerable future. It will at some point, but it's not for the considerable future. But yeah, you can watch that back. People just asking this question, so I can go, but that's already been discussed as well. Tom says, Liam, who do you fancy to come up? Borough, Luton or Coventry? The Mackhams got beat last night. I don't know whether anyone knows. But
they did. I watched it. There's no love lost there, I don't really want something to do well at all. But you know what? I wasn't impressed by Luton over the two legs, I'll be brutally honest with you. Sunderland were a much better football team, but have almost got out-muscled in the game, particularly in that second game. Sunderland were a much better side. I've seen a fair bit of Championship football at the back end of the season. Been really impressed by the style of football that Sunderland play. And it did have that feel about it when they edged into the playoffs that they would almost fluke promotion. but it wasn't to be. They got out strength. They put in a good fight, to be honest. If Luton come up, if it's Luton out of that 3, you would say Luton would have to do a Nottingham Forest and sign a full squad. I can't see much in that team or the way they play to think they would even stand a chance in the Premier League. You never know. I mean, look, you might have said the same about Bournemouth, and they've managed to stay up this year. Bournemouth will be the one. And I might be saying the same about Sheffield United next season. I don't really see a lot there. But I think if I was to choose out the 3, I could be totally wrong by the end of the night, but I have got a sneaking suspicion it might be Borough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Borough up. I know I go against some people and not others. I would like to have seen Sunderland back. I miss the derbies. I don't care. There's no way Newcastle are going to go into the Championship. Okay, I get it. Why some people don't want Sunderland to come up. Why people want to see Sunderland drop into the National League. But it's good, man. The derby's good. It's great to watch. It's a great event. The build-up's great. It's good for the area. I'll never apologise for having that feeling. I do miss those games. It's the way I was brought up, and I loved those games. I did enjoy them. And you've got to remember, for 34 years, I went to Roker Park and the Stadium of Light and never saw us lose. Then we had all that six in a row garbage. But the last game we played was a 1-1 draw, and Mitrovic scored, and we broke the duck, and the Mackem shut up. And I think we'd continue that if we played them again. Barry says Eddie confirmed today that Longstaff and Murphy will both miss the Brighton game. I haven't had time to do the manager's press conference review. I'm hoping, because I've got to go back out now after the show, that I'll get back in time to do it and maybe put it out tomorrow. But I've got another busy day tomorrow, so we might miss it this time round. But he did confirm that Longstaff and Murphy will both miss the Brighton game. What winning midfield combination would you guys pick? I think it picks itself. I've got to be perfectly honest, because I don't think Bruno is injured, although he's certainly carrying his ankle. But I guess there was no mention of Bruno, otherwise it would have been headlines in all the papers today. So I would imagine Bruno starts, Joe Linton starts, and then I imagine it would be Almiron, Willock, and that's it. I think that's your 4, isn't it? Across the middle, and you're probably going to play on the left. You're going to probably play. You probably go with the same midfield, and it'll be the same starting midfield as we had in the last game against Leeds.
It'll be the 3. There isn't anybody else to pick. It'll essentially be the 3, and I think the big decision is probably going to be in the forward area. Does he keep with Isak on the left, where I think he's wasted? Does he take Wilson out of the team? It's going to be a tough decision. It's one of those. It's do you go with the better personnel, or do you go with a better fit for the team? I don't think St. Maximin is necessarily the best fit for the team, but could we see an Anderson potentially come into the team and fulfill that on the left? I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against seeing a player like him come into the team, but it's a tough call. It could be another one of those where he sticks to what he's done previously, but I don't really think it's working. That's my only fear on the Isak on the left thing. I just don't feel like you put your best striker, you put him out on the left. He pulls defenders all over the place when he's in the middle. He doesn't see as much of the ball out on the left. It's a bit of a waste, to be honest. But they are lacking in personnel in key areas. Particularly Murphy would have been ideal to come straight back into the side, as would Longstaff. I've got grave doubts about whether we'll see Sean Longstaff again this season, which is what we kind of reported at Newcastle World from the offset.
Yeah,
that he would probably miss the season was the fear. Look, it could be the day Maximin gets unleashed again. But I'd be tempted to go with Anderson, being brutally honest, on that left-hand side, because I think he'll give you a little bit of the tucking in. He'll do a bit of the role reversal, which we've lost on that left-hand side. He can tuck inside where Joe Linton moves outside, or Willock, whoever starts on that left-hand side. I think Anderson could be a better fit for this game, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. There is lots of rumours flying around that it could be him.
What is that? I haven't seen that. That's me just going off
social media.
It feels like it could be a game for Anderson, I think.
Yeah. Steve Liam, do you think it's time to use the automatic offside system used in Europe? It's supposed to be accurate. We can't do any worse than what we've been witnessing on these VAR videos. We were discussing it this morning, weren't we? Pythagoras' theorem and rulers and drawing. We couldn't believe how it's done, could we? Really?
No, because it's never been shared with us, even in the media. But the bit that surprised me the most was you kind of expected, with it being VR, there'd be a little bit more of automated system about it. But when it's guys saying, "Go out, draw the line there. Oh no, move it to the left frame and the right," it's like, whoa, wait there, what's going on? Like, this is just, it's no wonder so many mistakes are made.
I mean, all it's missing is the Chuckle Brothers, isn't it? To me, to you.
It's a bit. And look, I'm all for it. And you made a really, I don't want to steal your thunder here, Steve, but you made a really important point today when we were chatting, having a coffee down by underneath the Tyne Bridge on the River Tyne. It was a lovely morning for it. You made a good point saying that it's not like you can really test these kind of things. They just you have to test it at the highest level. And essentially, we're in these first few years of where we are basically testing it at the highest level. There hasn't been an ability to do it any lower, simply because of the technology involved and the money required to do it. We're going to have to take the rough with the smooth. Ultimately, and I've said this all along, technology in football is here to stay, and I think it's a good thing in general. Can we get the levels of people running the technology up to a better standard than we currently have? And also, talk about that automated offside thing. Can we take some of the error? Look, it's been fantastic for goal line technology. I mean, that's amazing. There's so few mistakes made on that now, considering compared to what there was made, where balls would be in and would be, you had that all the time. Now it's really definitive, apart from when the watch doesn't go off. But how rare is that? I mean, you'll get that. If you get that once a season, I mean, that's one mistake in a year on a goal line technology. It's incredible, really. If we can get that kind of thing with offside, there'll be no complaints from me.
No, I would agree. Anything that helps the game and helps it be a better game is massively beneficial. So I do want to do that. Gary, no, Geordie's here. Geordie's there. No, mate, I did announce it. Sometimes I know people don't watch all the shows. I usually try to announce it on the professionals on a Saturday, Sunday. I try to tell you what's coming up in the following week. But no, I've got to go out, mate. So Liam's a permanent fixture on a Wednesday. Geordie's here, Geordie's there, usually is, but unfortunately I've got to go out straight after this. So not tonight. The lads will be back next week, though, to look ahead, of course. We'll look back on the last two games against Brighton and Leicester and look ahead to Chelsea. Hopefully we'll be celebrating Champions League qualification and Mitch will have his budgie smugglers on. That's the plan for next Wednesday anyway. And if you haven't seen Mitch's video and my video, I did a little short and Mitch did a rallying call this morning. I woke up to an early text from Dubai to say, I'm so sick of what's going on social media. Have you got any problems with me sending you a video that I can stick out just to try and get the people who are panicking and worried about the Brighton game, just to try and put their minds at rest. So if you haven't watched it, it's out there. It's only 2 minutes, two minutes long. I did a 1 minute video this morning as well. But yeah, just trying to put people's minds at rest. You know what I mean? And just, there is this panic setting amongst our fans and we don't need it. We don't need it at all. Tom Dixon says, is the Amigos live on Friday? Yes, it is, mate. 4:30 until 6:30. And Super Matt and Gibbo's 10 o'clock tomorrow. As I say, I'm all over the shop this week. So 10 o'clock in the morning, Super Matt and Gibbo, obviously because we've got the game tomorrow night. I'm out tomorrow afternoon. And then we've also got the Amigos, 4:30 to 6:30, because obviously we've got Peter Beardsley on Friday night. So ultimately, I've got to work around that as well. BT says, is there any truth in a sleeve sponsorship deal with a Botswana tourist board?
It's not one I'd heard, but I was very aware of the links around the time. Was it around the time of the takeover? It was just after. Mm-hmm. Very aware of the links back then, and I know there has been a strengthening of ties with the two countries. So, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but with regards to sponsorship, names on sponsorship, cards close to the chest. Of course, we've seen some of those pictures doing the rounds of Saudi Arabia on the front. Led to believe those ones doing the round on social media, that isn't the case for next season. It's just a bit of one of these red herrings, but we'll wait and see.
Okay, again, Stephen, one probably for the summer. Does Liam think or know that we'll have any players in early to benefit from a full pre-season? We don't want to leave it until the last possible moment. It's not the Mike Ashley years, is it? I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Newcastle will certainly have plans in place, I would imagine, to get them in as early as they can.
It's tough.
It is tough, yeah.
It is tough to get players in when you want them early. And it's even tougher to get good players, as in the players that they want. They're fighting in a different market, and we still don't know what market they're fighting in at the moment. They'll either be targeting similar type of players, what they, top. They're in the same market as essentially everybody, but Newcastle United, without the years of experience in Europe, without the established project, is a tough sell if you're not in the Champions League for the level of player that they want to get. So it's really difficult at the moment.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But we'll see. We'll
know by Monday. I think we'll know by Monday. We'll have a good idea by Monday next week where they're going to be.
They'll do their best. Are you confident Newcastle can finish in the Champions League this season? I am, yes.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they won't. And I think it could be if it could be a week where things don't quite go to plan. I'd kind of get that feeling. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world to me if Newcastle drew with Brighton on Thursday and then drop out of the top four by the weekend and beat Leicester to go back in and then require a result at Chelsea. If I was to say what I think is most likely, it probably is that. So everyone just needs to roll with the punches and enjoy the ride, because we're in a fight that we didn't even believe. We're in a race we didn't even believe we had a ticket for. We couldn't even get into for so long. So let's just enjoy the ride.
100% for the Champions League, says T-Tank. Liam was looking a bit flush. Has he been in the sun?
Don't know. I'll get a bit of a tan, have I? No, I don't think so.
All right. Geordie Toombalay says, how's the dog?
Great. Same.
Every week, without fail. Benny says, question for Liam, is there a chance that the fact that this is a home game is bad for us? Regarding the way we can beat Brighton is copying Everton, sit off and break, not the high press that fans will want. I think the biggest threat for me with this game is it's never a great game. We were discussing this today, weren't we, as well? It's always a bit of a stinker, this game. Brighton love to come and spoil the party with us, and we like to spoil the party for Brighton. So there's a bit of it, but Brighton are still chasing Europe. So, maybe it's our turn to spoil things for them a little bit.
Well, Brighton play the way they play. It's very cat and mouse. They like setting traps and bringing you on, and it's going to be a little bit cagey in that sense. So when I was saying earlier that it'll be a great game, it isn't necessarily a game full of free flowing stuff. Yeah. But for the purists, like you say, Steve, for the purists, it's going to be tense. It's going to be. It's a game. Two teams that got promoted together in 2017 are now both in a chance with 3 games to go of getting in the Champions League. What a story. Yeah. I mean, what a story that is. It's incredible. So let's just enjoy it. And it will be cat and mouse. It'll be tight. Newcastle could go behind in the game. They're probably going to concede. The midfield isn't protecting that back 4 unit like it was, because there's a lot of tired players out there. I never believed Newcastle would have this second wind that they had from February onwards. I thought they were on a downward trajectory then. They had that second wind. It feels a little bit like they've lost it again, but they just need to hang in there. It's 3 games. And I think 4 points from these 2 home games, although it will leave a lot of questions and a lot of nerves going into that Monday game. I think 4 points is probably going to be enough. And I would back them in a shootout. I wouldn't mind a shootout. Let's say that we just have to go to Chelsea and get something or match the result that Liverpool get to stay in that top 4. I'll take that any day of the week. I'm
picturing Tom Hardy dressed as Ronnie Cray when you keep saying shootout.
Yeah. We've just got to make sure we bring the right tools to the shootout.
Out of the loanees set to return, who would you sell, end contract, and loan back out? And is there any one of them you think with a bit of how coaching could come good? Jeff Hendrick. Jeff Hendrick.
Yeah. I wonder if Kieran Clark's worth a new deal. I wonder. He's probably one of the only centre halves I've had in recent years. We certainly haven't got many of them in it. Actually attack a ball from set pieces. Can actually attack a ball. I haven't got many of them at the moment.
I saw Jeff Hendrick score.
Did you?
I was there.
Was that he scored? Where did he score? He scored
Wolves away, wasn't it?
Wolves, aye. That was right there. Of Bruce, wasn't it?
I was there. It was great. Fantastic.
Was that pre-take? Oh, was that the last one before?
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic.
Legend.
Kel Watts, says Dave. No, I think we've had that. You know what? I believe we had that conversation probably away from the channel. I think we did agree on all of that. I do think we both said exactly the same. Okay, Newcastle United take on Brighton tomorrow night. Do not forget, people, for those of you who are going to the match, it is a 7:30 kickoff, not 7:45. So it is live on Sky Sports. Newcastle are unbeaten in the last 3 Premier League matches against Brighton, but have taken maximum points off them in the top flight just once in 11 meetings. It all points towards a draw. So Newcastle will have to go against recent trends to try and get the 3 points that need to take another step towards Champions League qualification. Supermac will be at the Dog and Parrot, 5:45 and 9:45. Gibbo and John Anderson will be at Pumphrey's in the Big Market at 5:45. Jamal Lascelles, Matt Ritchie and Sean Longstaff are all unavailable. Jacob Murphy is a big doubt as well. Doesn't look like he's going to feature. Brighton, well, there's no Joel Veltman, no Adam Lallana, no Solly March, no Tarek Lamptey, no Jacob Moda, no Jeremy Sarmiento, and no Adam Webster. Robert Sanchez is also missing. He won't be travelling with the squad. This is a big game. There's no doubt about it. You need a good referee. Is Robert Jones any good? Only time will tell. It was his 3rd appearance of the season against Newcastle, this one. 1-0 home victory over Chelsea. 1-0 home victory over Fulham. That's a good omen. VAR is Jared Gillette. Okay, so Liam, big game. After that, we've got the Leicester game. Let's look at Brighton first. What's your prediction for this one tomorrow night? Are you still going down this road of a draw tomorrow?
What do you want? Me heart or me head?
Give us both.
My head saying it's going to be a ones each. It's going to be a tight, really nip and tuck encounter with a lot at stake for both sides. It's probably not going to be enough for both sides for what they want for their ambitions. But my heart's saying I feel like we can beat them. I feel like we don't often beat Brighton. They've really had one number. I don't know the stats. I'm just going off feelings here, but we haven't beaten them many times at all, really, since that promotion season. So, but I think we can get at them. One last push from the lads should see we over the line. And if they don't, at the end of the day, nobody's going to tell me this season's been a failure. It would be tinged with a little bit of disappointment because they've come so close and put themselves in a fantastic position to claim something that felt like it wasn't even a distant dream. It was like the absolutely unattainable. And it would feel a little bit, you'd feel a little sense of loss if they didn't do that. But there's nobody going to tell me this season's been a failure because it's been a fantastic success. And whatever competition, it can only be 2 competitions now. Whichever one of those 2 competitions Newcastle United end up in next season, they have done a fantastic job. You do get the sense, though, if they do get Champions League football, and a win against Brighton would really, really take them towards that, because essentially you'd probably be having more of a conversation about that Monday game being this is it. This is virtually it. Or it would be it, really. They'd get in the Champions League effectively with a win, with 6 points. I think it'd be a draw. And I think people need a lot to lose. If that is the case, a defeat, I can see why people might lose their heads a little bit. There will be a little bit of panic set in. But wouldn't change a whole lot. Because then you go and beat Leicester and you're back in again with 1 game to go. And it's that hands in pockets and pointing pretending guns, and it's the shootout time. The craze film. But I back this team. You never know, there might be a few bodies back by the time we do go to Chelsea. Fingers crossed. But I don't know what you're saying, Steve. But at my head,
Newcastle. You're going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a Newcastle win tomorrow night. I think it'll be narrow. I think it'll be tight. I think Newcastle will win 2-1 tomorrow night. I think Liverpool will draw on against Villa. I think Liverpool will have that's a tough game for them. Liverpool haven't been firing on all cylinders. Villa have got everything to play for, as have Newcastle, as have Brighton. This isn't the Newcastle of years ago and under Ashley. This is a different Newcastle. And I said to you today, Newcastle play better when it's up against. I feel they play better when it's up against them. I feel when Newcastle are The supporters are complacent and think we're going to beat somebody 6-0 and everyone's going to bookies putting 5-0 and 6-0 on and it spills onto social media and all of that. I think Newcastle play better when everybody's against them and it's against the wall. And I think there'll be that kind of mentality. I think we'll win tomorrow. I don't think we'll concede early. I think they'll score. And I think Newcastle will win. I think they'll win 2-1. I think Villa will take a point at Anfield, and I think Newcastle will beat Leicester. And again, I don't think it's going to be a huge scoreline against Leicester, but I think Newcastle will win against Leicester. And you think they're going to win against Leicester as well. But those set of results will take us into the Champions League. I don't think it's going to go to the last game. I think Newcastle against Chelsea will be a celebration rather than a must get a result. But that's football. You just never know what's going to happen. It's been a great season, whatever happens. And I urge anyone watching the show, before we're finished, go and watch Mitch's video. Go and watch my video, my short that we put up this morning. If you feel down over the next 24 hours before the match, go and watch them. They'll cheer you up. Away the lads. Liam, as always, cracking hour. Quick plug for where you work. Where can people find your work and Jordan's work?
NewcastleWorld.com, Jordan Cronin. Follow both. Shields Gazette, also editor there. Give the likes of Joe Buck, Miles Starford, and Dominic Skur follow as well.
And we're not going to say too much, but we had a good meeting today. Lots of exciting stuff coming up for next season. Watch this space. See you next week, Liam. Take care, pal.
Cheers.